Listen up, Rams Nation, because we need to talk about something huge that's brewing in Horns country. And honestly, this might be the most important conversation we have all season long, because our franchise quarterback, Matthew Stafford, is absolutely balling out right now. And we're sitting pretty at 5-2. But there's a massive elephant in the room that we cannot ignore any longer, and it's time we address this head-on before it becomes a problem that derails everything we're building in LA. Right now, Staff Daddy is putting together an MVP caliber season at 37 years old. And let me tell you something, Rams fans, this is exactly what championship DNA looks like. Because while everyone was questioning whether he still had it in the tank, whether the Rams made the right call bringing him back, whether we should have moved on and started fresh, our guy went out there and reminded the entire league why he's a Super Bowl champion and a two-time Pro Bowler who can still sling that rock with the best of them in this league. And honestly, watching him carve up defenses week after week has been nothing short of magical for everyone who bleeds blue and gold. But here's where things get really interesting and why we need to pay attention right now, because the $84 million two-year deal that Stafford signed this past offseason was supposed to solve everything, was supposed to give us clarity and stability at the most important position in football. But instead, it's created this situation where his cap hit in 2026 is going to be a whopping $40 million, and that number locks in on the 5th day of the new league year. Which means Sean McVay and Les Snead are going to have some serious decisions to make sooner rather than later about how they want to handle it. Because you can't just ignore a $40 million cap hit, especially when you're trying to build a championship caliber roster around your quarterback. Now, before anyone starts panicking or thinking this is bad news, let me tell you why this is actually an incredible position for the Rams to be. Because think about it, we've got a quarterback who's playing at an elite level, who turned down more money from other teams to stay in LA, who clearly wants to be here and finish his career in Rams uniform, and who has proven time and time again that he can lead this team to victories when it matters most. And that kind of loyalty, that kind of commitment to the organization is absolutely priceless in today's NFL, where quarterbacks are constantly looking for the next big payday or the next opportunity somewhere else. ESPN's Jeremy Fowler dropped some serious intel that we all need to be paying attention to, because he said we can't forget about Stafford among the potential new deals that could get done. And here's the kicker. He called the situation a potential boiling point if Staff continues to play lights out, which, spoiler alert, he absolutely is doing right now. And this yearly dance between Stafford and the Rams, where they consider alternative before coming back to each other, has actually worked out perfectly for both sides, creating what Fowler described as a sometimes uneasy but ultimately flourishing relationship. And honestly, that's exactly what you want, because it means both sides are being honest with each other, both sides are communicating, and both sides are committed to making this work. The fact that Stafford didn't want to leave LA this past offseason is massive for us, Rams fans, because it shows that this isn't just about the money for it. It's about winning champion. It's about being part of something special. It's about continuing what he started when he helped bring a Lombardi trophy back to Los Angeles. And when you've got a quarterback who values culture and winning over maximizing every last dollar, that's when you know you've got something special on your hands. That's exactly what McVay and Snead need to remember when they're having these conversations about restructuring or extending his deal. Sports Illustrated's Albert Breer confirmed what we all suspected, that Stafford really wanted to stay in Southern California. And while his new deal gave him a nice bump over what he was making, before both the New York Giants and Las Vegas Raiders were willing to go way higher into that area where the average would start with a 5, which means Stafford legitimately left tens of millions on the table to stay with us. And if that doesn't show you his commitment to this organization, to this city, to Rams Nation, then I don't know what will, because in a league where it's all about getting paid and securing the bag, our quarterback chose loyalty and winning over money. And that's the kind of leader you want under center when you're trying to make another Super Bowl run. But here's what really gets me fired up about this whole situation and why I'm so optimistic about where we're headed. Because Stafford himself spoke about this back in March on the Morning After podcast, and his words were absolutely perfect for describing how he views his situation. because he acknowledged that being perceived as available can feel negative, that going through all the speculation and rumors can be tough. But then he shared this incredible perspective that someone gave him about how this is actually such a positive time in his life because he's 37 years old, going into his 17th NFL season, and teams still want him. And he called that a rare occurrence that he doesn't take for granted or lightly, and that humility, that gratitude, that perspective is exactly why he's still playing at such a high level. The genius move here for the Rams, and I really believe McVay and Snead are going to figure this out, is to get ahead of this situation now, rather than waiting until next offseason when things could potentially get messy, because we've seen how this dance plays out. We watched it happen this past offseason with all the uncertainty and speculation, and while everything worked out in the end, wouldn't it be better for everyone involved if we could create some long-term stability that benefits both Stafford and the organization moving forward? Because when your quarterback is playing like an MVP candidate, you don't want him distracted by contract stuff. You want him focused on bringing home another champion. What makes this situation so unique and frankly so exciting is that both sides have demonstrated they can work together to find solutions that make sense for everyone. Because Stafford showed he's willing to take less money to stay in LA, and the Rams showed they value him at the highest level by giving him that contract adjustment that teams only make for their most important players. And that mutual respect, that partnership mentality, is what championship organizations are built on. And it's exactly what we're seeing play out in real time with the Rams and Stafford right now. The reality is that Stafford's deal probably does need to be addressed in some form this coming offseason, because that $40 million cap hit in 2026 is going to limit what the Rams can do in free agency and how they can build around him. And nobody wants that, because we all know that football is the ultimate team game, and you need weapons around your quarterback. You need a solid offensive line. You need playmakers on defense. And if too much of your cap space is tied up in one player, even if that player is your franchise quarterback, it makes it harder to compete for championships. And Stafford knows this better than anyone because he's been in this league long enough to understand how roster construction works. Here's what I think happens and why I'm so bullish on this situation working out perfectly for Rams Nation. Because McVay and Snead are two of the smartest minds in football, and they've proven time and time again that they know how to navigate the tricky cap situations and find creative solutions that keep the team competitive, while also taking care of their star player. And with Stafford playing at this level, with him showing no signs of slowing down, with him clearly committed to finishing his career in LA, I fully expect them to come to some kind of restructured deal that lowers that cap hit, spreads the money out, and gives everyone some peace of mind moving forward. What really matters here, and what Rams fans need to understand, is that this isn't a crisis. This isn't a problem. This is actually an opportunity, because we have a quarterback who's playing MVP caliber football, who wants to be here, who's willing to work with the organization, and who has proven he can win championships in this city. And those are the kinds of problems that every team in the NFL would love to have, because most franchises are desperately searching for a franchise quarterback, while we're blessed to have one who's still performing at an elite level deep into his 30s. And that's something we should all be celebrating rather than worrying. The contract situation is definitely something that needs attention, and McVay and Snead would be wise to address it this offseason rather than letting it fester for another year. But the foundation is there for this to work out beautifully, because both sides want the same thing. They want to win more championships. They want to keep building on what they've already accomplished together. And they want to do it in a way that's sustainable and smart for the long-term future of the franchise. And when you have that kind of alignment between a player and an organization, you can figure out the details, you can make the numbers work, you can create a deal that satisfies everyone involved. Looking at where we are right now with a 5-2 record, with Stafford playing lights out, with the offense clicking on all cylinders, with McVay's system working to perfection, this is exactly where we want to be as Rams fans. And the contracts, while important, is really just logistics that smart people will figure out behind the scenes. Because at the end of the day, football is played on the field, not in the accounting department. And what we're seeing on the field every Sunday is a quarterback who still has plenty left in the tank, who's making all the throws, who's leading this team like a true veteran champion, and who's showing everyone why the Rams were smart to bring him back for another run. The dance between Stafford and the Rams that Fowler mentioned might seem uneasy at times, but it's also created something beautiful because it forces both sides to constantly evaluate where they are, to communicate openly about expectations and goals, and to make sure everyone is on the same page moving forward. And that kind of honest, transparent relationship between a franchise and its quarterback is actually pretty rare in the NFL, where most of these situations end up messy and contentious and full of drama, but not here, not with Stafford and the Rams, because they've figured out how to navigate these waters in a way that works for everyone. So, yes, we need to keep an eye on this situation. Yes, it's going to be a topic of conversation throughout the season. And yes, McVay and Snead need to address it sooner rather than later. But I'm telling you right now, Rams Nation, this is going to work out perfectly because we have a quarterback who wants to be here, who's playing incredible football, who understands the business, and who's willing to work with the organization to find solution. And when you combine that with a front office that values him at the highest level, that knows how to manage the cap, and that's committed to winning champions, you've got all the ingredients for a happy ending to this story. The fact that this could reach a boiling point, as Fowler suggested, actually makes me more excited rather than worried, because boiling points force action. They force decisions. They force people to stop kicking the can down the road and actually solve problems. And that's exactly what needs to happen, because the last thing anyone wants is for this to drag out for another year, for there to be more uncertainty, more speculation, more distractions when we could just handle it now and move forward with clarity and confidence, knowing exactly what the plan is for the next few years. What Stafford said about how valuable it is that teams still want him at 37 years old, going into his 17th season, really resonates because it shows his mind, shows that he understands how fortunate he is to still be playing at this level, and shows that he's not taking any of this for granted. And that gratitude, that perspective is what separates good players from great ones, because the great ones never lose sight of what's important, never get too caught up in their own hype, and always remember that playing in the NFL is a privilege, not a right. Rams Nations, we are watching something special unfold right in front of our eyes, because we have a franchise quarterback who's defying age, who's playing MVP caliber football, who chose us over more money elsewhere, and who's leading this team on what could be another magical playoff run. And yes, there are contract details that need to be worked out. Yes, there's a $40 million cap hit looming. Yes, there are decisions that need to be made. But all of that is just noise compared to what really matters, which is winning football games and competing for championships. And as long as number 9 is under center slinging that football and making magic happen, I'm confident that everything else will work itself out. The partnership between Stafford and the Rams has been flourishing, just like Fowler said. And there's no reason to think that's going to change anytime soon, because both sides have proven they can work together. They can find common ground, they can make tough decisions, and they can do it all while keeping the main thing, which is winning football games and bringing championships to Los Angeles. And that's really all any of us can ask for as fans. So buckle up, Rams Nation, because this season is far from over. We've got a quarterback playing out of his mind. We've got a coach who knows how to maximize talent. We've got a front office that knows how to build winners, and we've got a contract situation that, while complicated, is absolutely solvable. And when you put all of that together, you've got a recipe for sustained success, for another deep playoff run, and for more magical moments in blue and gold. And honestly, what more could we ask for as fans of the greatest show on turf, 2.0? The urgency here isn't about panic. It's about striking while the iron is hot. It's about capitalizing on having an MVP caliber quarterback. It's about maximizing this window while Stafford is still playing at this elite level. And it's about making sure we don't waste a single season of having one of the best quarterbacks in football under center. And that's why McVay and Snead need to get this figured out ASAP, because every year matters. Every season counts, and we can't afford to let contract drama become a distraction when we should be focused entirely on winning championships. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. because we're going to be covering every single development in this Stafford contract situation as it unfolds. And you're not going to want to miss any of the breaking news analysis or insider information that we bring you throughout the season. So hit that subscribe button, smash that like button, and help us grow this amazing Rams Nation community, because together, we're stronger together, we're louder, and together, we're going to support our team all the way to another Super Bowl championship. So let's get it done. Rams fam, now here's what I want to know from you. Should the Rams restructure Stafford's contract this offseason or wait until next year? Option A, restructure it now and create long-term stability. Or option B, ride out this season, see how everything plays out and deal with it next offseason. Drop your answer in the comments below, because I want to hear what Rams Nation thinks about this situation and how you think McVay and Snead should handle it. Moving forward, let's go Rams.